OJ. Really? OJ? Cool. Did you do it again? Why you must do that? Well, you got to drop it right where it's going to roll under the fire. There you go. Yeah. Play stickball. Stickball and I win. Yay. What it do? What it do? What it do? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, swing and a miss. Strike one. She's up to bat again. Oh, and it's a line drive into the fire. That's that almost, dude. If that would have bounced like one, they would have went bloop, and we would have been getting the other ball. Ooh, look at that. Well, look at that. Greetings, Captain. Once again, you will be the wind in my sailboat today. That's right. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It's Bette Midler right there. That's the old school Bette Midler. That's the good old stuff. Whoa. Home run. Yep. Do you want a party? Are you ever going to do creepypasta readings? Dude, I wish people would quit asking. I wish I'd never done it. I did it once, and now, like, every one of these streams I do, somebody's like, creepypasta, pee-pee! It's like, no. All right? Now that you've asked again, no. I'm not going to do another pee-pee-pasta, okay?
If there's any property you did...
I did it like a year and a half or 2 years ago. I did a creepypasta stream. And every time I go live, somebody like, pee-pee-pasta? You do a pee-pee-pasta stream? It's like, fuck.
Where's the ball?
I don't know if it's like the same chimp doing it or if it's like just like they schedule themselves 7 days a week where it's a new chimp going, pee-pee-pasta? You want a pee-pee-pasta reading?
Come here. I want to see it.
I know, but it's been like fucking 2 years though. Like I understood when it, like I first did it and a bunch of people that were into creepypastas liked it and they were like, hey, do another stream for a while. But like it's been 2 fucking years. I lived in the house that almost burnt down with TJ and Scotty the last time I did a creepypasta stream. That was over 2 years ago. And every day that I do one of these, at least one person has to go, pee-pee-pasta? Pee-pee-pasta win. Never. Pee-pee-pasta never. They're dedicated fans. No, they're displaying symptoms of possible ASD. If it's 2 years later and every time you see me you have to go pee-pee-pasta, that you may be on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah, I'm getting good at that.
You hitting some line drives. Hyperfixation, yeah. You're below the spectrum? Yeah, me too. Need to get you a little tennis racket.
I'm good at badminton.
Are you good at badminton?
Me and my cousins fucking like went at it hard with badminton.
What about volleyball?
Not great.
Me neither.
Like I said, that amputee chick is better at volleyball than I was at
Yeah.
volleyball.
Yeah.
And basketball. She was a very sporty amputee.
Dude, sporty amputees, gotta love
She
them.
didn't even have a fake arm or nothing. She had it like right there.
Well, Foul ball. You merely adopted the tism. I was born in it, molded by it. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be ableist or anything, but like, it's been fucking 2 years. It's time to move on. And if I do another one, you can be excited and delighted about it. But I'll tell you right now, if I do another one of those, it's not going to be because somebody went pee-pee pasta in the chat every day, 3 times a day, for the rest of my life. Okay? If I do another one, you can be surprised and delighted by my pee-pee pasta stream. Okay? But it will never be, I will never do pee-pee pasta again because somebody came in the chat and said, do a pee-pee pasta. In fact, let's do this. Every time you say do a pee-pee pasta, I'm going to put an indeterminate amount of time between me and the next pee-pee pasta stream, okay? Does that sound fair? So the less you mention it, the more likely you are to get a pee-pee pasta stream. I'm sick of seeing it every day. And like sometimes a dude will be in there and he'll just think, oh, Paul's not seeing it. So I'll look and like 5 times during a stream I'll see pee-pee pasta. Pee-pee pasta, remember when you did pee-pee pasta? You do pee-pee pasta again? It's just like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Yeah, I have a memory. I remember that one time that I did a pee-pee pasta stream because I was bored. Everybody liked it, and everybody wanted me to do nothing but pee-pee pasta from there out, but I was not interested in doing nothing but pee-pee pasta. So I didn't do any more pee-pee pasta. See? Yeah, pee-pee pasta cinema for cynics. When you do pee-pee pasta on cinema for cynics.
We got a quiet chat today. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, it's YouTube is apparently taking its sweet time sending out them notifications, which it usually it does. There are some days where it's like I think it hangs up at like 50 people. And then like 20 people just drift by ambiently, and we sit here with 70 people for like an hour. Night of the Living Dead was great commentary, by the way. I really missed those. Yeah, the sad thing about it is, dude, I know
Still
you're
got beans.
right. It still created a copyright problem that we had to go and fucking fix. And it's a completely and utterly fucking royalty-free film. It's public domain, royalty-free, cannot be monetized, blah, 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 blah. It's in the public domain. And it still triggered a copyright flag, which is why you guys don't get those anymore. Like we literally cannot sit and watch a movie and commentate over it. As fair use as I believe it is, we can't do it. So you guys, like,
maybe?
it had to, no, it was 110% some Brazilian fucking company that has a copyright thing where they've filed a spurious copyright on like 3 seconds of a bunch of probably public domain shit. And they file it, and they basically, like, their monetization model for these types of channels is scattershot, right? 90% of people are going to dispute it, and it's going to get knocked off in a week or 2.
Yeah, but for that 10%, they get to put ads over
Right.
it or whatever.
But that 10% of people that either don't know how to do that or don't care, they just get money. I just now got the notification for the stream. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a totally known quantity that for some reason, YouTube, when I go live, I've got close to 40,000 subscribers. YouTube sends out my notifications in batches for some reason. They wait until I've been live for like 20 minutes, and then they're like, oh, here's another batch. Oh, here's another batch. Oh, here's another batch. It's like, what? Why not just send out notifications to everybody that follows me, especially the ones that have clicked the bell immediately? Like, why can't they get that right?
You don't want to do a whole, like, posting everything to Twitter.
I swear to God, dude, YouTube is like a company that you work for, it would be like, okay, say you worked at a Starbucks, right? And you showed up for your shift, and your boss immediately grabbed you and put you in handcuffs behind your back, and then was like, go work. Go do your whole shift, quick. We're short a person, get out there. And it's like, okay, I'll do my best in handcuffs.
Or it's like Gordon Ramsay or whatever, where you just get sent out of the store.
I mean, at least fucking Gordon Ramsay is, like, fair when he kicks people out. They're being stupid. Like, this is, like, just us trying to make fucking content that makes us some money and makes YouTube some money, and them going like, nope, 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 this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Oh, you want to do a live stream where people donate to you? Well, we'll send out notifications 5 at a time every 20 minutes. It's like, what? So you want less money. Or you just don't want to invest the time to fix your notification system. So you just leave your fucking your fucking content creators out in the cold, streaming to an empty void. It's just such a fucked up company to work for, dude. I'm telling you. It's like fighting an uphill battle to make them money. You think they'd get out of your way? You'd think they'd be like, oh shit, this guy pulled in $300 in super chats last stream. That's a bunch of money for us. He's been doing it pretty regularly. Let's get his fucking notifications out so we make some goddamn motherfucking money. No. Not interested in that. We don't want to make no goddamn motherfucking money. We want to make sure you don't make money, but still have you work for us. It's like, I don't even know what to do with a company that isn't concerned about making money. Because all they're doing by dithering on fucking sending out notifications or fucking with my uploads or fucking... oh, God. Allowing these fucking spurious foreign countries to file copyright claims. Did he do it again? All right, that's it. Ball's going up. Ball's going up. Just put it up on the table. No more rolling the ball underneath the goddamn fire pit, you idiot. Ugh. Yeah, I threw a log on the fire and the wind shifted for a second and I got like a lungful. Right as I was taking a breath, the wind was like, here's some smoke. I was like, oh shit, I need to get my gloves. They're right there.
What?
My gloves. I'm gonna grab it. No, it's okay, baby. You're not in my way. I can scooch around you. You ain't gotta get up around. I'm a fat fuck, but I don't have to have that wide of a berth. You do that when we meet in the hallway, too. You're like, let me back up. And I'm like, it's okay. I can turn sideways. I'm a wide load, but not that wide of a load. I'm like a cat.
I did that at Amazon, too. Like, I would
Where you, like, deferred to people?
I, like, walked all the way down the hallway if they were coming through.
Right. I mean, that's probably a good idea at Amazon, I would imagine. But... oh, okay, that's better. Yeah, my wrist so cold and my eyes so frozen. It's all for you. Boop. I'm about to get to the point where anybody that mentions my little hometown gets banned. Yep. Like, I don't want that. Like, I told you guys where I was from to give you a little background on me. I did not tell you guys where I was from so that once again, you could use your ASD to constantly talk about the tiny little town that I'm from and all the little people that live in it. So you mention my hometown again, you're banned. Unless it comes up contextually and I'm talking about it and we're talking about that. You come in my chat and you drop the name of my hometown and start asking me questions about it creepily. You're going to get shit canned again. I mean, I don't know how much cleanup is going to be necessary, but I'm about to, like, fucking have a Spectre meeting and just do a standing order 66. Because it's been real fucking stupid lately. Don't throw something in my chat. I'd rather sit here and look at an empty screen and come up with something else to say than look at my chat and read something fucking stupid. So if you have something to say it in the chat. If you have nothing to say, don't say it.
No one cares where your mom squeezed you out.
Yep.
If you're in like a 50-mile radius.
Yep. It's creepy to me. Like I don't want the people that live in that little town fucked with because I have a presence online by people on the spectrum who think it makes them closer to me to learn all these little things about my town and ask me questions about my town. It's gonna be fucking Nuke City, do-a-diddy up in here. Test it. Keep testing it. I don't care. Like, it takes me one button press to ban you, and it takes you about fucking 5 minutes to set up a new account on Google. So keep doing it. No timeouts, asbestos fingers. Straight bans. If they've been warned, straight out bans. No timeouts. I don't even want to see timeouts today. Anybody that says something stupid fucking today, banned. I don't care if they came in late and don't know the rules.
It's been established in enough streams now.
Every day my gangster is tested. And every day my gangster wins.
Am I free now, fire?
You made it worse now? Good. Let the morons come out in the open so that my fucking specters can snipe them in the fucking forehead. The little beads are all over the chat right now. You guys seen those movies where like a dude walks in and he sees all the little laser beads looking for him from guns and shit? The beads are all over the goddamn chat right now, so go ahead. I poke it, I make it worse, and then I steal 5 minutes of your fucking time. Pimp says your impression of him is subpar. He's talking some junk over here on the wood. That sounds like Salt to me. That sounds like Salt because I nailed the essence of Pimp Monk like nobody has before. See, now while I sit here and tell you straight up that my Pimp Monk impersonation sounds exactly like Pimp Monk, no, that's not what my impersonations are about. I find the essence of a person and then I go with it. That's my impersonation style. I'm not one of these like mimic impersonators that wants to sound exactly like a person. I like to find the essence of what they are and how they speak and boil it down. And for Pimp Monk, it's that graveliness. It's the, You better believe it, yo. That's right. Thank you this morning for jumping up on my wood. This is Pimp Monk. Here with Missy Ann and the big old teddies. God damn, there's some big old teddies, Missy Ann. Here with, who is this dumb motherfucker right here? Shatwisky, whoever it is. Having my morning cigarette. You telling me that's not a good Pimp Monk impersonation? I mean, come on now. That's dead on fucking balls. Yeah, my wrist so cold and my eyes so frozen. It's all for you. I'm a mocha cigarette here. I'm gonna have me a cigarette. Head out to the street corner, have myself a cigarette. Yeah, it's a stylized Pimp Monk. It's not the like fucking dead on balls Pimp Monk. It's a stylized Pimp Monk. It's a comedically enhanced Pimp Monk. Taking a little bit of something that Pimp Monk does, because he does have a little bit of a gravelly voice. He surely do. and then kind of upping the ante on it, catching some of his little speech patterns and whatnot, like moxigable. I'm moxigable. Catch one or two of those little things, and then that's it. That's that. You just do that over and over again. It's that simple. Moxigable. Head down to the street corner, moke myself a cigarette. Ever catch your beard on fire? Nope. It's probably because I'm not a stupid ass. Like, I got 2 brain cells left up there that haven't been smoked away, and like a neuron fires between them. So yeah, never caught my beard on fire yet. Imitations and impressions are kind of boring anyways. They usually miss the essence of the character. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, for example, impressionism is actually a really complicated thing. Some people are mimic impressionists or mockingbird impressionists. Okay, those are the 2 major styles of impressionism: mimics and mockingbirds. So a mimic impressionist is really good when you've got somebody that has a really hard to impersonate, hard to quantify speech pattern and vocal style. So like Trump, for example. I hate 99.9% of Trump impersonations that I hear because they're all just people doing this. This is not Trump. I am Trump. Very much bigly. You know what I mean? That's people doing a Trump impersonation. Like Saturday Night Live ran with a big name fucking A-list actor for like a year, and that's what he did. I am Donald Trump. Very bigly. Nobody knows like I know. Trust me. It's not impersonation, right? That's a terrible impersonation. And really, Trump is a guy that you can't mockingbird. You can't do like an essence of Trump impersonation because he's got a very, very distinct speaking style, and he makes fun of himself. He's like beyond parody. So if you want to parody Trump, you have to sound just like him. So that's where the mimics come in. That's where a mimic impressionist comes in. Right? Is a person that can nail it so good so they don't sound like every Joe Blow on the street that's going, very bigly, it's tremendous, I'm Trump, you know what I mean? The fucking literal 1.5 million hack impersonations of fucking Trump. And then you find a mimic who actually sounds like Trump. And then they can say funny things and mimic his speech pattern, and then it's funny, right? So for a guy like Trump, you need a mimic. For a guy like Pimp Monk, and it's not like a quality of character thing, but for a guy like Pimp Monk, you need a mockingbird, right? You need somebody that's going to find the funny things about Pimp Monk's speech patterns and highlight them. So a mockingbird impersonation is sometimes the best way to go if you're trying to get a funny impersonation of somebody.
Or it's like the difference between a mockingbird and a parrot.
Right. You've got a mimic and you've got a mockingbird. That's always the way that I've thought about it. That's all the way I've always thought about impressionists as either mimics or mockingbirds. Some of them can do both. Like really talented impressionists can do both. Like a good example of a really talented impressionist that is both a mimic and a mockingbird when he needs to be is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, if you watch Jim Carrey do Clint Eastwood, it is one of the best impressions I've ever seen in my entire life. Because it involves not only vocal affectation and timbre and tone, but total facial mannerism. It's a total mimic. And Clint Eastwood is a really hard guy to impersonate. He's another one of those guys that like everybody does a hackneyed like, I'm Clint Eastwood. And all they do is they drag their mouth down a little bit. I guess we can meet in the middle of the town for a showdown. I'm Clint Eastwood. That's the best 99.9% of comedians do for an Eastwood. And I'm telling you, dude, One of the greatest impressions I have ever seen is when Jim Carrey settles into his Clint Eastwood, and it's all performative too. He'll start with his normal face, and he'll look right at whatever camera it is, or like onto the camera, and he'll just like slowly but surely, like, his face like transforms into Clint Eastwood. And then he's got the vocal affectation and the timbre and the tone perfect. That's a mimic. But if you watch a lot of his other impressionism, a lot of his impressionism is exaggerated Mockingbird style impressionism, where he finds the essence of somebody and then like, blah, 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 like, you know what I mean, makes fun of them with it. Yeah, you talking to me, punk? You talking to me? Are you feeling lucky, punk? Now there's one thing that you've got to ask yourself, punk. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? You know, like the hackneyed fucking Eastwood impression. That dude becomes Clint Eastwood when he does the impersonation of Clint Eastwood. Also, mimic impersonation. If you want to see an entire movie where Jim Carrey literally exists within a character doing an almost perfect mimic impersonation, Man on the Moon. He became Andy Kaufman. Like, if you've ever watched Andy Kaufman, if you've ever watched interviews with him, if you've ever watched his comedy bits, if you've ever watched him on Taxi, he doesn't look much like Andy Kaufman, but he captured the essence. He did a mimic impersonation of Andy Kaufman, a mimic performance of Andy Kaufman for the entirety of the film. That's a talented impressionist there, because that's combining a comedic performance with an artistic acting performance, combining that comedic stand-up skill of mimicry and folding it into a performance where you really have to live in the shoes of a character. Really one of the finest performances I think I've seen from a modern actor, to be quite frank with you.
And even with these gloves too big on me, I'm still faster than Asbestos Fingers.
I know. It's okay. Like I said, is Tony Soprano easy? No. No, he's not. Most people doing a Tony Soprano just do the fucking, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? They do the Jersey accent thing, and it's like, okay, well, that's one component of it, but you're really not doing Tony Soprano if you're doing that. Piotr, yesterday you said you would never call someone the N-word without his permission, yet during a debate with G-Man and DP, you said the N-word many times for fun. Peak hypocrisy. It's only hypocrisy if I continue to talk like to you guys about how like I don't say the N-word anymore, but then I continue to do it. Like, yeah, back in the day, if you remember, I talked about how I used that word as a teenager, like pretty fancy free. And even as an adult, I felt contextual, comedic use of that word was okie dokie, wanamoki. This is not like something that I haven't talked about before.
I mean, G-Man kind of consented to that coming on the show too.
I mean, I don't know, whatever.
The vibe at the time.
I mean, it is what it is. I don't make excuses for it. I probably shouldn't have done it. But rather than make excuses for what I've done in the past, I just go forward and I try and be better. Like, I don't want to be a dude that makes people feel bad by using that word for no reason. So I don't do it anymore. And that was the whole point of the goddamn... fucking... talk that we had the other day. Piotr. I don't even really think it's about snowflakeism. Like, not for me. Like, I really didn't decide to stop using that word because there were people that were like, oh. I decided to stop using that word, and I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again since it came up. Maybe there's some new folks in the audience. I decided to stop using the N-word and the F slur, and I'm really trying with the R word too. And the reason for that is when I came out as a bisexual guy, I started to contextualize, because people start asking you questions, right? And one of the questions that people ask me is like, why did you wait so long to come out? And one of the reasons that I came up with, and the main reason, honestly, that I came up with for why did I wait until I was almost 40 years old to come out of the closet as a bisexual man. And one of the reasons for that was because I was called a faggot my entire life. That word was thrown at me jokingly by my friends, not jokingly by people who wanted to insult me. And it made me feel awful almost every time it was used, because there was a part of me that went like, yeah, you are a faggot. Like, they're right. Like, I know that your friend is just joking when he said, hey, what up, faggot? But you are a faggot. You know what I mean? And that, during my teens and early 20s, was horrible. It felt horrible. And I don't want to do that to another young person or another older person who might still be, you know, struggling with that or closeted or whatever the fuck. And so I took that, right? I took that feeling of like, okay, that word was used towards me. It was directed at me. Most of the time it was joking. Sometimes it was very much not joking. And it made me feel awful about myself. So why would I, as a dude who has, you know, an audience of people, amongst which there are gay people, straight people, bisexual people, trans people, indie people, black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian peoples of all stripes, Middle Eastern peoples. You guys see it happens all the time. Paul, what up from Dubai? Paul, what up from Saudi Arabia? Paul, what up from fucking, you know, China? Paul, what up from here? Paul, what up from there? And it's like, why would I want to even risk making a young person feel bad about themselves because they watched me sit here and flippantly use a word that was used to oppress people that have their skin color for 200 plus years in this fucking country? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to run around saying the F slur all the time when it made me feel so bad when I was a kid? When I had multiple instances of being called that and really thinking, having that internal thought process go like, you know what, it's big funny that he came in and called you a faggot, but you are a faggot. You are attracted to men. I don't want to do that to people. And so I won't. And that's what's changed between now and when I was on DP. When I was on DP, I was still closeted. I was surrounded by people who were free speech absolutists and a little more edgy. I grew up in a more edgy time, along with all of my co-hosts. All of the co-hosts on DP were born within fucking 7 or 8 years of each other. We're all children of the 80s and 90s. And back then, it was way more colloquially common for a white person to use those fucking words. Or a straight person to use those fucking words. Or just a person in general to use those fucking words.
All of your respective parents.
Your parents, your fucking friends, your aunts, your uncles. Everybody you knew said those words. Right?
My favorite is like when they cover their mouth and whisper like, black people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like keeping it under your breath. Like there's a bunch of black people waiting in the bushes. They're going to be like, huh? What'd you say? Like, you ain't got to whisper it, dipshit. If you got to whisper it, maybe you shouldn't say it. Like, if you feel the need to, like, before you say something, maybe you shouldn't say it. Maybe it's something you shouldn't say. Maybe there's another way of putting it. I don't know. Could be wrong. Hey man, I became a fan after your guest appearances on DP back when Amazing Atheist was on. Do you look back and think of anything you would have wanted to change? No. Like I don't live in regret. So I've done some things that are certainly regrettable, and I'm not saying that I don't have short-term regret, but I don't live in regret. So I don't look back over the things I've done in my life and have this fantasy about like, well, if I could go back in a time machine, I'd fix this. That's a good way to just fucking drive yourself nuts. I loved that show. I would have done anything for that show. I probably said and did some stupid shit on that show, but ultimately I had a
foundation for this.
Right. I mean, it gave me the start to do what I'm doing now. It gave me at least the ability for however long this lasts to try and do something creative with my life, which is something I've never gotten a chance to do. I loved that show. And so, no, I don't regret anything I said or did on that show. But this talk that we're having now about the contextual use of certain slurs and shit is, you know, it's not a regret from that show, but I'm trying to give you guys an example of how I've grown over the last 5-6 years as a person. Like how I've changed my outlook and my perception and how I conduct myself. I don't expect other people to do it. Like if I'm around a person who's talking all kinds of crazy fucking racist shit, I'm likely to just go away.
And you were down this path before you even got with me. It's not like because I'm young.
Oh, there's, yeah.
It's
No, there's like some meme that like you came along and all of a sudden I became an SJW. I had started down this, I came out as a bisexual before I had even met Amelia. I was still with my ex-girlfriend. If you guys want to get technical, my ex was just as much of an SJW, if Amelia is an SJW, as Amelia is. She was from the fucking millennial generation. She used those words jokingly with people that she knew that, like, you know what I mean, were okay with it. But she did not say those words out in public. She was not, like, trying to make people feel bad with her language and shit. That has nothing to do with it. Like, I'm not the type of person that is overtly affected by the radiative energy of people around me. Like, I can't help but be affected by it a little bit. And in fact, in a good way, I've been affected by Amelia's energy because she brings a calm energy that I need. But in terms of, like, her coming in and, like, wagging her finger at me and making me not say this or she never asked me not to say a fucking thing. I made the decision to try and fucking be better about how I present myself as a public figure so that none of the young people that watch me hear me saying a word that's used to make them feel bad about themselves like it's nothing. And they think that, oh, well, you know, Paul's a cool guy, but he's just another dude that fucking, you know, runs around saying the N-word, or he's just another dude that runs around calling everybody the F slur all the time. Or he's just another dude that makes me feel bad every time he says the R slur or talks about people with mental deficiencies because I have a little brother. It's like earlier on when I was saying somebody had ASD. I'd really rather not do that anymore. Even if I feel like somebody's displaying something that probably belies a little bit of ASD in the chat,
when they're like super hyper fixated on something, it's pretty obvious.
But that's the thing. There's a lot of people that have ASD or somewhere on the spectrum in my chat that aren't like that. And so when I say, oh, you've got ASD, they think, oh. You know what I mean? And I probably made a bunch of people fucking feel bad today. And that's just an example of me struggling with my upbringing. Because I'm telling you, dude, that was polite in comparison to what I would have said 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And it still probably hurt a few people's feelings who are on the spectrum in my chat for no reason. They weren't even chatting. Maybe they were just fucking lurking. And now all of a sudden Paul's on a rant about how people with ASD can't conduct themselves. It's fucked. I'm sensitive. I mean, I'm empathetic. And I guess with that comes a certain sensitivity to other people's fucking moods and shit. So yeah, I can be a little sensitive, but it springs forth from a sense of empathy. I don't want to make people feel bad about themselves. I don't like yelling at people. I don't like making people feel fucking, you know. Now, there's a difference between having my little sparring matches with the chat and calling people out on something they have no control over. Me calling you a dumb fuck because you said something stupid in the chat is different from me going like, you have ASD. You know what I mean?
Well, stupidity and like the medical definition of mental retardation aren't the same.
Right. Like, stupidity is something that people can fucking challenge in themselves. Like, if you're stupid and uninformed about something and you make a comment that makes no sense, you have every ability as a functioning adult to correct yourself.
And I mean, really, like, we both kind of agree that, like, people that fit the medical definition of retarded need, like, protections. Like, those two court cases, those two murders where they pinned it on a kid that...
Right, that was mentally challenged and, like... Right, and he didn't know how to... Right, so they used all those interrogation techniques on a person that was not equipped for them at all, and he got him to admit a bunch of shit. It's that making a murderer thing.
Yeah, and the West Memphis 3.
West Memphis 3 as well. One of those boys, Jesse Miskelly, I think is his name, was, you know, mentally challenged. Not like... Well, whatever. The gradients don't matter. He was a mentally challenged kid, and they got him to falsely confess to shit that he didn't do because they grilled him for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and fed him a narrative. And people like that, like even fucking people that aren't mentally challenged fall to that. So you take a person that's already got an IQ deficiency and put them in, or a social deficiency, or a combination of both, and put them in a room with authority figures who are telling them to say things for hours and hours again. Eventually, you're going to get them to say whatever you want. I mean, like I said, it works with completely cognitively normal people. Like, average, everyday people walk into fucking police stations and get grilled like that all the time, and it works on them.
Just telling them get a lawyer, like 90% of people are going to get a public defender that's overworked, that's just going to say, just settle.
Yep. I watch a lot of interrogations when I'm falling asleep because I like to listen to the games that the interrogators play with people. It's very interesting to me, the psychological games that an interrogator plays with somebody, whether that person is fucking guilty or not. Mm-hmm. A lot of the interrogations that you'll find on YouTube are people who were guilty of the crime. But there are a few that I've watched where, like, there's one that's fucking crazy. It happened in the UK. And this dude is brought in for an interrogation for busting into a store. And the dude had proof. He was at work when this happened, and he had a bus ticket to prove that he was on the bus when this person was supposed to be perpetrating this crime. There was literally no way he could do it. It was provable that he was in another part of the city when this happened. They pulled him in anyway, and they used this technique called the Dossier Technique on him, which is, in the Dossier Technique, an interrogator will sit down and tell somebody, like, look, we know everything. We know you did this. We have your blood. We have your footprints. We've got your DNA all over this. We've got witnesses. Now, in the Dossier Technique, 90% of the time, none of that will be true, or maybe part of that will be partially true. But the interrogator, they'll straight up sit there and tell you, like, he told this dude, I've got you on tape. So in this interrogation that I'm talking about, where they pulled this guy for this store robbery in Great Britain, right? He tells this guy, he's like, so when I show you the tape of you doing this, what are you going to say? And the guy said, show me the tape. There's no way I'm on that tape. It's impossible that I'm on that tape. I was at work and I was on the bus. And when I got off the bus, I was arrested. So go ahead, get the tape. I'd love to see the tape. And the cop is like, you can tell the cop is taken aback by it. That dude was held in prison for like 5 days before he was released. And then was just released. Like nothing ever happened. Because finally the cops checked on his story and were like, oh, he was at work and on the bus. Okay, well, you're free to go. And the dude fucking sued the police department and won. So it happens all the fucking time. Yeah, The Interview is a cool flick, by the way. Somebody recommended that. There is a good movie called The Interview. Yeah. It's Hugo Weaving. I wasn't like a super fan of that movie, but I thought it had a really cool premise. A premise of a movie was basically, a guy is quote unquote falsely accused for something, but was he? And it's the whole movie is based around a series of interrogations of this guy. It's an Australian film, I think. At least if it isn't, they went out of their way to hire a bunch of Australians because it's nothing but Australians in the movie. No, not The Interview with Seth Rogen. The Interview, it's a different movie. Yeah. There's a Seth Rogen, fucking what's his name flick where they go to North Korea to try and kill Kim Jong Un or whatever the fuck. That's not what I'm talking about. This is like a more underground kind of indie Australian film called The Interview. You can find it on Amazon though. But yeah, not the no, not the Joe Rogan or not the Seth Rogen film. Wrong movie. Australian thriller film from writer-director Craig Monahan. There you go. Yeah, a little more cerebral than the other Interview, for sure. For sure. All right, it's time to stoke this fire now. It's good and going, thank goodness. Only took fucking forever. But now it needs a stoke. Oh, yeah. There we go. You got to tend to fire. That's one of these things that, like, a lot of people don't understand. They just want to, like, throw a log on it and be done. It's like, no. You got to tend to fire. You got to do it right. You got to load it up correct. Proper. Oh, this is a big old chonker here. This will be nice. Let's get this going. Yeah. Now we cooking with gas. Those bad boys light up. We're gonna have a nice roaring fire. He pulled that strain of marijuana you liked called Blue Dream. I forgot. Yeah, Blue Dream. No, that's the last marijuana question for today. Think you'll ever write poetry? I tried writing poetry in my 20s and what came out was cringe, so probably not. Probably not. I'm gonna guess no. The Thin Blue Line is a good one. It's not a TV series, it's a documentary. It's actually a docudrama with reenactments by a guy named Errol Morris. One of my favorite documentarians. And The Thin Blue Line is actually my favorite documentary of all time. And it is about a guy named Randall Adams, who back in the late 70s or early 80s, I can't remember which, was accused of murdering a police officer in Dallas County in Texas, falsely, and was basically railroaded by the police and held in prison for almost 20 years before he was exonerated. Not 20 years, I think it was like 10 years before he was exonerated by that film. So the movie, the documentary that was made about his story is what led to his case being reopened and his case being commuted and him being released as a free man on his own recognizance, and led to the arrest of the person who actually committed the fucking murder and having that person charged with that murder. Fucking crazy, dude. Real crazy. If I was held in prison for 10 years, I would demand $10 million as compensation. I mean, $10 million doesn't even cover it, bro. There's no price tag on 10 years of your fucking life. There's no price tag on that. You can't buy that shit. Is your hair naturally blonde in the sun, or did you dye it? I have blonde hair. So if you look at pictures of me when I was a little boy, I was almost platinum blonde. As I got older, my hair got darker and got to this dirty blonde thing. But no, this is my natural hair color. I don't dye it. I have no need to dye it. You can see the grays happening up there. I want it to go gray. I'm ready. The weird thing about it to me is I can look at this, right? This hair. And I go like, this is the color of hair that was coming out of my head 2.5 years ago. And this is the color of hair that's coming out of my head now. Very gray. You see it? So that's cool. I'll be gray soon. Heading down that gray road. But no, that's my natural hair color. Dude, if I ever dye my hair, you guys call me out on it, because I don't want, I got nothing to do with that. Paul, tips for a good hairline, genetics. I don't do anything different than anybody else does. I just won the genetic lotto with the hair. By all rights, I ought to be bald as fuck and not have good hair, but I have good hair and pretty much bad everything else. So I really don't know. Happy Festivus. It's time for the airing of grievances. Oh, shit. Well, I already aired a few today. You ever put highlights in your hair like a 90s kid? I was a 90s kid, so yes. Bleaching your hair was like the shit back in the day. That's what everybody did. Everybody bleached their hair back in the day. It was the way that, like, all the cool kids did it. So you had, like, a short-cropped kind of haircut, and you'd bleach it. And then you'd let that shit grow out, and you'd get the roots. So you had, like, the frosted tips, and that shit was hot. People wanted that back in the day. That was the look. And yeah, dude, I've got some pictures of me with some frosted-ass Flavor Town tips. Take you straight to Flavor Town. I look like I'm 20, but I'm getting hella gray hairs. I don't mind, though. Yeah, I like that. I like that, Holmes. I like that. Piotr, you better fucking pay me if you want to insult me, dude. You know the rules. All the girls in school had bleached hair with roots, but I don't think it was intentional. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like, it's expensive and time consuming and kind of damaging to your hair to re-bleach it. So yeah, sometimes people have roots, but they don't really mean to. It's just like, oh, I bleached my hair like 3 months ago and I don't have the money or time, or I don't want to fuck my hair up, so I'm just letting my roots grow out. But in the 90s, it was intentional. In the 90s, it was cool to have two-tone hair for girls, like where your roots were one color for a long way, and then here it became a different color, like the ends of your hair being a different color. And so a lot of times what girls would do is they would bleach their whole hair and then just let it grow out over the course of years until they had this like blonde stuff down here that they could dye purple or pink or green or blue or whatever the fuck. And it looked pretty cool. Like like having your whole hair pink, I never saw that in high school. I don't even think it was allowed. But girls were allowed to put like streaks of color in their hair, have their tips be different colors. I think it's ironic that most people are into skincare and makeup that damages skin at the same time. Okay, yeah, I guess that is ironic. Don't you think? A little too ironic. And yeah, I really do think. I know a dude whose hair color is literally dark gray. He had the hairline of Mr. Burns. That's cool. Frying your hair during a bad bleach job is always fun. Yeah. That's why it's probably worth it to go to a salon and shit. Although it does happen at salons and shit too. You go to a competent salon if you want anything done with your hair. Because I'm telling you, dude, like people were asking me the other night, like, will you change your hair color, like dye your hair or whatever? And like Scotty, like, I don't know what, I'm not gonna tell Scotty what to do, but Scotty bleached his fucking hair. He's got hair about as long as mine, maybe as long as mine. And he bleached every bit of it. And I'm just like, dude, that hair is dry and crispy forever now. Like, he just ruined that whole head of hair. And maybe he's planning on keeping it bleached forever. All right, Paul, enough of this hair talk. Damn it, give the people what they want. Do a fart. Let me see if I got one. I don't have one. I just did a whole push and everything, and there's not one in there. I can't do a fart right now. I'm sorry. I was looking at some old pictures, and I realized it was one of my chickens that used to look way different. Yeah, chickens change, dude. So do people. People change. Chickens change. Everything changes. Used to spray hydrogen peroxide. I can't remember. There's like this paste that we used to use back in the 90s. I don't know if that's still how it's done, where you got this this bottle of liquid stuff and then this stuff called activator, and you mixed them together and they created this paste, and you would rub that paste all the way down to the roots, all the way onto your scalp and through every bit of your hair, and then let it sit. And then a lot of times after it sat for about 3 hours, you'd go look at it, and then you'd add another round to the parts that were still kind of dark or whatever. We'd add another round to that. You use pomade. That's pretty old school there, Cynic. Pomade is what like dudes used to use in their hair back in the 50s to keep it all like slick and like, you know, like greaser look. Well, that's pretty cool. I've never been able to pull that off. I don't think I could do it. I went through this brief moment where I liked rockabilly a lot. And I really liked that style. That like rockabilly style or whatever the fuck, where it's like, you know, kind of country, but kind of not. And I found this shirt at, of all places, a Hot Topic. There was like a 3X rockabilly shirt, and I thought it was the coolest thing. It was like blue with blue flames on it at some point or some shit. It just looked fucking dope in the rockabilly style. And I bought it. It was like a button-up, you know what I mean? Like a button-up short sleeve shirt. And I bought it, and I wore that motherfucker once, and my friends fucking laughed at me so hard, I just put it in the closet and never wore it again, and probably threw it away at some point. I know I still don't have it. So yeah, I got rid of that shirt at some point, because people weren't having it, dude. People weren't having it. But as it turns out, all my little excursions into fashion have led me right back to where I am now, which is t-shirt, coat, pants, shoes, comfortable. Yeah, I owned a skateboard in the 80s before the modern, like, 90s kind of kickflip, aerial, varial kind of shit really took off. So I owned a big, fat, chonky skateboard that was basically just meant for riding on. So definitely not a tricking board. If you go look up 80s skateboards, you'll see what I mean. You know, big, wide board that was nice and long, so it coasted real good. Not like a total, like, coasting board, because you've seen those, like, long, it wasn't a long board. It's almost like an extra chunky version of what would become a trick deck. So if you look at a modern trick deck, imagine it looking exactly like that, but wider, fatter, and longer. Not like a total long board. But like back then, the board that I owned back in the 80s that I used to ride around a lot was not meant for tricking. You could do some limited tricks, like you could pull up the front wheels and there was a brake on the back, and that's how you could stop it. So you could, like, you know, cantilever your weight to the back and push the front wheels up, and there was like a rubber stopper on the back that would like help you. You'd have to look at it. Like go look at 1980s skateboards and you'll see what I mean. They were just like, they looked like modern trick decks, but they were bigger in every way, just bigger, because they were not meant for tricking. They were meant for just riding and smooth coasting, and it really did smoothly coast. Like, it had really good trucks on it, so when I'd lean, it would just really. So So I could get going down a hill, had the good urethane wheels, so I didn't get fucking, and I'd coast. Othello's throwing up some pictures there for the chat if you want to take a look at what I'm talking about. Never had a big longboard. I always thought people looked pretty cool riding them around, but I never had a longboard. And I never owned a trick deck, but pretty much every friend I had was a skater, so I was really immersed in the culture. I liked watching people skate and shit, but it was not my passion. It was a fun thing to do and a fun thing to have friends that were into, because it was really cool to just chill and smoke a fat joint and watch somebody have a skating session. You know what I mean? Yep, went to a roller skating rink in my little hometown, broke my arm in it. But yeah, there's a skating rink in my little hometown. To my knowledge, I'll have to ask my mom the next time she calls, but to my knowledge, it's still there. I don't know if it's open during COVID, probably not, but to my knowledge, there's still a skating rink there. And yeah, I broke my arm in that skating rink when I was a kid. And I had rollerblades like in the late 90s. But once again, not like for tricking and shit. I had them just to like get around my fucking neighborhood. And there was a brief period of time in the 90s where like rollerblades were 100% cool. Like my skater friends called them fruit boots. They hated rollerbladers. But I just liked skating around on them. You know what I mean? I was never looking to try and do crazy fucking tricks and shit, but I liked just like coasting, getting up to a good speed and just kind of coasting around my neighborhood on them. I had one of those skateboards, but in the 90s, did rollerblades until I broke my arm on a half pipe. Yeah, see, I never did no half pipe shit. I never did any of that shit. And I would have busted myself up. What's the hardest part about wearing rollerblades? The hardest part is finding a pair of blades that fits you exactly right. I remember the first pair of rollerblades I got toe my feet up because they were like a size too big. So my feet were moving around too much inside of the boot. Yeah, they called them fruit boots, yeah. And they called rollerbladers fruit booters. Tried the half pipe when you were 9, big mistake, yeah. What about snowboarding, skiing? Very limited experience with either of those. I've been on skis a couple of times when I was really young, and I've been on a snowboard once. And that was a tragedy, dude. That snowboarding incident was a terrible idea. So here's what happened. I just got done telling you guys I used to ride like a coasting board back in the 80s. And I'd say in the early 90s is when this went down. I was probably 10 or 11. And I was probably 10 or 11, and my family was going to go up to the snow. Where I grew up, it was about an hour to a place called Heavenly, which was a big ski resort. I think it was called Heavenly. It was one of the ski resorts. Anyway, we were going to a ski place, like a big ski slope, for the day. And everybody else in my family was getting skis, and I'd been on skis a couple of times and knew how to do that slow and blah, 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 and make my way down a hill. But this time I was like, dude, I want to snowboard. Because at this time, snowboarding was starting to become cool. And I was like, I've been on a skateboard before, and I could probably get the snowboard thing down. So my family rented me a snowboard, got everybody else skis. Well, I went on the bunny hill, and I fell a couple of times on the bunny hill, getting used to like how to pull both of your feet in front of you and dig your heels in to stop the board and shit. I was like, like I fell a few times trying to learn. I was watching other people do it. It took me a couple hours on the bunny hill to get my bearings about me, but eventually I was on the bunny hill, and I'm like going down it, and I'm doing okay, and I'm stopping at the end, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can snowboard a little bit. So I went on the ski lift. Terrible. Going heel to toe at first is not easy. You're absolutely right. Because it's a very, like, it's different from skateboarding. You don't stop a skateboard like that. You know what I mean? Or I guess, like, not unless you're really skilled at keeping your balance on the board and doing it in the right conditions. Like, you go heel to toe when you're doing a 50-50 grind on a trick board. You do heel to toe stuff when you're doing vert. And it's a very, like, it feels weird to do, like, shoo. But anyway, I got it down to where, like, I wasn't falling on my ass every time I went down the bunny hill. I felt like I had good enough control to make my way down the hill. Got on the ski slope. Got off of the ski slope. Fell getting off of the lift, which was important. I got off the lift and just, like, board came out from under me and I ate it. Dude running the lift at the top helped me up, and he's like, "You sure you're okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, it just got away from me. I'm fine." So I've hopped my way over to the start of the drop in for the fucking slope, right? And I'm looking at it and I was like, "Ooh, it looks like I'm gonna get some speed going here." And I was right. Like, the top of that slope's it's speedy, and so I fucking I jumped in, you know, because you start planted heel toe. I jumped in. Started going down the ski slope, and I was like, whoa, 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 I'm building up way too much speed. Got to slow down. Went heel toe again and just went end over end. It was like I went heel toe, but the front edge of I did it wrong. I had my weight balanced on my toes, and so the front edge of the board went into the snow, and I just ate shit. So hard. I got to tell you guys, so fucking hard. Right? Knocked all the wind out of me. Didn't break anything, but injured me. Like, injured me. Like, I was like, So, like, some skiing dude was like, "You okay, dude?" And I was like, "No, I really don't think I am." And he's like, "All right, I'll hit the call box or whatever." And I just sat there. I pulled myself out of the way and got off to the side, and I was just hurt, man. I was hurt. Like, I remember my ribs hurting. I remember one of my arms took one of the shoulder of this arm, I think it was, just took a fucking nasty wrench, and it was like, this arm was like, Yeah, I had some dude going by, "You all right, bro?" And I was like, "No." So here's the embarrassing truth of it. What happened was I sat there in the snow for about 20 minutes, and then a dude showed up on a snowmobile with a stretcher. And by that time, I had popped my snowboard off, and I had gotten up to make sure nothing was broken and shit. So I was sitting there, and he's like, "You all right, man?" I was like, I'm kind of hurt. I'm pretty sure I can't make it. I took a pretty nasty spill there, so I'm pretty sure I can't make it down the hill." And he's like, "All right, well, I got to strap you to the stretcher." And I was like, "I don't think that's necessary, man. I can just hop in the fucking jump seat there on your snowmobile." And he's like, "Nope, that's a policy, man. If you're hurt, I can't have you on the back. I got to put you on the stretcher." And I was like, well, you guys remember I told you I fell at the top of the slope. So I had to take the stretcher ride of shame down the whole fucking ski slope. It was horrible. It was not a good look. It ended my day because I was hurt. Thankfully I was young, so I wasn't, like I said, I didn't break an ankle, I didn't break a foot. I just wrenched my shoulder really bad, bruised some ribs on the fall, had a cut on my chin from where I went face first. It just ended my day. My day was done. Imagine me doing that today. Oh, dude, they would have had to chopper me to a hospital today if I would have taken a fall like that. Because I'm telling you, I remember that fall being particularly bad. Just bad, bad, bad news bears. So that was my one snowboarding excursion. And that's the last time I've been skiing or snowboarding. And probably the last time I ever will. I don't really have a desire to do it. Maybe I'll try skiing again, because like I said, when I was younger, I was on skis a couple of times, and I was able to do that For whatever reason, I was able to learn how to do that. It's not. I'm not saying it's easier or harder. I'm just saying I felt more comfortable on those.
Sweetie, I got some flour for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. On skis, you can do this kind of like sweeping carve slowdown thing that on snowboards you don't do. Snowboards, you go heel toe, dig your heels in, and
They had us do like the crisscross to stop.
you can do that too with skis to slow yourself if you're not stopping. Like if you've got too much speed and you want to slow yourself a little bit on a straightaway, but you can't do it on a turn. On a straightaway, you cross your skis. Or if you've got a big open space and you want to stop for a minute, you can do a big wide arcing stop. You know what I mean? You can go to your right and then turn slowly to your left and I liked that.
More on.
You can hit it, baby. It should be fine. You know what? I'll show you a little trick. Just take your finger and tamp it down a little bit, like move some of that greenery into the middle. You see what I mean? Yeah. And then take a hit. Yeah.
You want me to put more on top though?
You don't have to. Just finish that and dust it. It's better to do that and then sprinkle the new on top. Tony Hawk still does 900s and he's like 58. Yeah, but Tony Hawk's been doing 900 since he was like 12. I've never even attempted like I just got done telling you guys I've never really ridden a trick board. Like I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I never got on a friend's trick board.
Oh, there's your bait with those.
Yeah. I had that out here, but thank you for the flour, though. I was kind of feeling some flour. This finally got going, you see.
Yeah.
Got a sizzler, too. That's a trick I use, too, to make myself not cough.
Yeah.
You see those little, like...
Yeah.
After I take the hit, I oxygenate what's in my lungs, so it's not just pure smoke.
Yeah.
So I take a smaller hit. Well, for me, it's like a medium hit,
Yeah.
because when I cough, it's when I take what I call a lunger,
Yeah.
which is basically like a full lung full of fucking weed,
Yeah.
which I don't want to do. So I take a good like medium hit, and then I aerate it after I've taken it by like taking those little. And that usually keeps me from coughing on the exhale. It makes it like smoother. But yeah, now if you want to take a hit, you can sprinkle some on there because it's pretty dusted. And you can like tap it out real easy against something. I usually use my leg.
But leave the.
Yeah, you can leave a little cake and shit in there because that's like a little bit of resin and a little bit of what's left from the last bowl.
Oh no, I opened the wrong section.
Oh, it's all good. It's that middle one. Works every time. I always breathe normal smoke right after I smoke. Most of the time I don't cough. Yeah, dude, like sometimes I'll just forget and I'll take a way bigger hit than I want to. But if I regulate the way I smoke, like on a bong, I won't cough. Like I'll clear a bong and not cough. Because I've trained myself to repress, because a bong aerates the rip that you're taking enough. So you're not getting nothing but pure smoke from a bong. You're getting nice aerated smoke, which is what you want. Nice and dispersed, nice and moist, because it's going through a water chamber or 2 or 3. And so you're getting a nice cool hit if you're doing it right. So clearing a bong is not like this big feat of strength. It's just about knowing how a fucking bong works. The people that like cough on a bong start with their lungs half filled. So they don't empty their lungs before they start. They start with their lungs half filled, and then they take a rip that fills up their lungs and tops their lungs off and their esophagus with smoke, and then they come pulling off of it going, and that's not how you're supposed to hit them. There's a whole process, bro. That Vader hit was pretty legendary. I mean, yeah, but that was nothing though. That wasn't even a feat. The bong that Vader was on at that point. Dude, we called those, and you know, no disrespect, we called them bitch bongs back in the day. Like a tabletop bong is what you would call it now, like something about yay big.
Did I do good with not taking all the green?
Yeah, that's perfect, baby. Look at that. Look at this I gotta show you that. Look at her. That's a perfect green hit because you didn't take all the greens. You got it cherried on the side. That's,
All right.
baby, you're a stoner now. Look at
Yeah.
you. OMG, you have the same pipe. Yeah, this is a this is like a mid-range pipe. This isn't like a throwaway pipe that a tourist would buy. I think I paid like 45 for it, but it's not a high quality pipe. It's a mass-produced type pipe.
And by the way, that other pipe came
Oh, good.
for sure.
For sure. Okay. Nice. See? There I didn't follow my rules. I took a lunger, and so I coughed. Sometimes you want to do that, though, honestly. Yeah. Coughing gets you like 10 times more higher, bro. So, yeah, you go into a bong with your lungs empty, because the whole point of a bong is, and you hit it slow. So here's how, I wish I had one here so I could just do one and show you guys how it's done. Because hitting a bong really is like, it's this mythologized thing, and a lot of people will do it once, do it incorrectly, and then never do it again. But when I was growing up, the area that I grew up in, that was the smoking culture. Like, that was really what everybody wanted to be doing. It's like dabbing now, right? Like, dabbing now is like the pinnacle of smoking. Like, everybody's like, yeah, but have you dabbed? Well, back in the day before dabs and shit were available, the way that you could get super high super quick was a bong. You get a bong, you take a couple of big rips of the bong, and you're on the fucking moon. But being able to hit a bong was something that I took pride in, that everybody that did it took pride in. Nobody wanted to be that guy at the party that blew water out of the bong, that inhaled into the, or exhaled into the bong because they started coughing before they pulled their mouth away and blew water out the bowl and ruined a whole bowl of weed, and fucking, nobody wanted to be that guy. Nobody wanted to be the dude that took a half hit and then started coughing. Everybody wanted to be able to clear whatever piece was on the table, whether it was a small bong or a big bong. And so that was something that, you know, we didn't, it was an unspoken thing, but every one of my friends, we all learned how to do it. And there's a whole methodology to clearing a bong. So number one, I will walk you guys through the rules of clearing a bong. And if this is boring to you, you can get the fuck out. And if I had one here, I would, you know, fucking demonstrate, but I can't. I really don't keep a bong anymore. It's not my preferred method of smoking. But back in the day it was. So here's how you clear a bong. Number one, bowl has to be packed properly. If the weed is packed too tightly in the bowl, you're going to get this really, really concentrated hit that doesn't feel like it's as big as it is, and you're going to cough. Or your bowl is going to light improperly. Medium pack on the bowl. Bowl is full and even. Nice ground or nicely broken up weed. Back in the day, we didn't have weed grinders. So we would spend half an hour with our weed, right, sitting over a tray, breaking it up with our fingers.
You didn't have a mortar and pestle?
You could do it that way, but a stoner, we would just sit down with our weed, and we would sit in front of a tray, and it's part of the whole process, right? Break it up. Once you got it nice and fine, like we get it on our grinder, it's not as fine as you get it on the grinder. The grinder's way more uniform, way easier. You get it nice and uniform. You pack your bowl, medium tight. You go to hit the bong, right?
Okay, you pack a pipe, basically.
Right, how you pack a pipe, exactly. You go to hit the bong, right? The first thing that you do is you put your mouth on the bong. You don't start lighting the bong before, because like that's immediate rookie mistake, is some people will start like lighting the bong before they've got their mouth in place. The first thing you do is put your fucking mouth on the bong. And you make sure there's a seal. Bongs have a round thing for a reason. Your whole, like that.
Yeah.
See how my lips and mouth are encapsulated? You want to make sure that there's like a reasonable seal around your mouth. And you can even, and this is something that I often do, cycle a bong is what they call it, before you light it. So a lot of people, before they hit a bong, if it's a bong you've never hit, right, you put your mouth on it like that and you pull. And you see how it bubbles. You're not going to pull the weed down through it. You're not going to ruin it that way. And you're not lighting it. You're just seeing what's the airflow on this bong. And you watch it, blah, 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 and you go, okay.
And normally there's enough, like, resin inside of it that it's maybe a tiny hit.
Well, I mean, a bong should never be resiny.
Oh no.
If a bong gets resiny, it's because a person is lazy with the bong. A bong should be clean as fuck. You clean a bong after every session or every other session. So it starts to build up a little bit, and then you fucking rinse it out, and it's nice, crystal clear. You want to start your sesh with a beautifully clear bong that looks like you just bought it. And end your sesh with some dirty bong water and clean it out and give it a good cleaning the next day. Like, that's what you're really supposed to do with a bong. Yeah, you got to change the water every set. I mean, if you're on your own, change the water after every other sesh. If you're having a sesh with 2 or more friends, just be done with it after that sesh and change it.
And don't do it right now, people.
Right.
Don't pass bongs right now.
Right. So, once you've cycled the bong, if it's a piece that you've never hit before, and you know what the draw is on it, then you light the weed. You don't overlight the weed. You don't keep the lighter there because all that heat transfers into the weed and creates a kind of burnt, charred smoke. You want a nice, even smoke. So you spark it, and you don't as hard as you can. You take a slow breath in, and you'll see, and you will actually watch, because you watch the whole works when you're hitting a bong. You'll watch it cherry. You'll watch the weed cherry up where you lit it and spread. And you will watch the smoke go down through the stem, up into the works, through the fucking water chambers, and then up into the stem. And you'll know when you're starting to get weed. So once that smoke, when you're taking that slow inhale, starts to reach you, that's when you pull the stem. That's like the carb on the side of the pipe.
Yeah.
You pull the stem out and inhale sharply. And you clear the bong. And that whole filled bong, like a big old glass of milk, goes right in. And it's all nice, cool, aerated, oxygenated weed. And it hits your lungs. It's like a deep breath. And you hold it for a second, and then you slowly, you don't go, you go.
Which probably helps a lot of people because it's like a breathing exercise.
Once you,
basically.
the last part of it is once you get to the end of that breath, you will have the impulse to cough. You don't need to. Hold it with no breath for a second, and then take a slow breath in instead of coughing. Go. And that'll cool your lungs off, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, so that definitely is probably why it helps a lot of people, is just the breathing exercise that you have to go through to hit it.
Yeah, and the ritual of it too. Like, it's slow, methodical. It is not like a rookie will sit down at a bong, light it, and start like inhaling as hard as they can. And then they get this like, and some of them blow it back into the bong. So if you exhale into a bong, the water that's in it will come out the stem where the bowl is. And
Yeah, it's fucked.
the bowl goes everywhere. The fucking water goes everywhere. And you're a fucking idiot at the party now. And nobody likes you anymore. So it's just, there's a whole ritual to it. I learned by watching people do it. When I was ready, I actually had, like, if you didn't know, nobody shamed you. People wanted to teach you how to do it. In fact, we like, as a friend.
You want to teach people so they don't waste your weed too.
For the longest time, well, not the longest time, but when I was introduced to smoking weed recreationally, when I was about 13, I was dependent on joints and pipes a lot, because getting out the bongs, like, you can't do that and get caught, right? A joint and a pipe, you can conceal that kind of easily. But a bong, you have to pull it all out and shit. And so the first time I was exposed to a bong, I was probably 14. And I was at a party, a little get-together at one of my friend's house. He had a dad that was a pothead who would allow him and his friends to smoke weed over at the house. His thinking was, like my mother's thinking when she allowed my friends to drink, was better that they do it here than out there and get in a car accident or whatever. I don't know if there's efficacy to that kind of parenting. Maybe he should have put his foot down or whatever. I'm not here to judge anybody, but that's what we did. So I was over there, and my friend Brandon, I won't give his last name, brought over what was for me my first exposure. Now, I'd seen a bong before, but it was my first time, like, oh. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, because the other guys, maybe a couple of the other guys that were chilling had been smoking for longer than me. But it was my first time I'd seen a bong. I was like, okay. I didn't. So what happened was he pulled it out. He got it all set up. He had a really nice bong for the time too. He was kind of a rich kid.
Yeah.
He
He
wasn't.
got like $100 a week allowance or something.
Yeah, he wasn't snobby about it. Like, he wasn't one of those dudes that constantly rubbed it in people's faces, but he always had nice stuff. And he lived in a really nice house on a vineyard. So I think his dad was a farmer or some shit.
Yeah, farmers surprisingly make good money.
Oh, dude, especially where I came from, because
and then there's, like,
they're all
do
huge.
They do like farmer college where they have to get a degree
Oh
in
yeah.
agriculture?
Well, dude, my high school had an agricultural track that was like you could get college credits towards your agricultural degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, a lot of the people that were in that were people that were already children of farm owners who wanted to continue the legacy and expand it. Because it was like if
that would definitely be a good requirement though, so people learn more about like crop rotation and shit. If they had to do like a continuing education or some shit.
some people don't do it. Some people just learn it on the job. Like they grew up tending the farm with their parent, and so they know how it's done. A lot of people did pursue that degree for that reason. In the area I grew up. So, what was I fucking talking about?
You were talking about your friend Brandon.
Oh yeah.
Dad lived on a vineyard.
So he brought the bong, and I didn't. So what happened was a couple of my friends were like, "Oh, cool, dude, sweet, you brought the bong," and I was like, "Uh-oh." So what I did was I watched those dudes hit it, and then when it came time for them to go, "Paul, come hit this," I didn't go like, "All right." I went, "Guys, I want to hit this, but I've never hit one before," and they were like, "You never hit a bong?" I was like, "No, like not one like this big. I've hit a water pipe, but like I ain't never shotgunned a big fucking thing like this." And they were like, "Oh, no, dude, no worries. I'll walk you through it." And actually what happened is that Brandon curated my hit for me. So that's one of the things you can do with a bong for somebody that's new is you can curate their hit. So it's like he walked me through that very process that I just described to everybody. Put your mouth on it, cycle it, and feel how it feels. You see how that is? Take a slow breath in. There you go. That's about where you want it. See how it's bubbling? That's how you want to hit this. Now I'm going to go ahead and light your bowl for you. And then when you've got a knife, you just don't suck it in until I tell you. When I pull the stem, you just inhale as hard as you can and
so
hold.
That's like
Right.
cutting and pulling the stem.
Right.
Like
So he that's curating somebody's bong hit. And so he lit the hit for me. I slowly and then when it filled and I was getting a little bit of that front edge of the smoke, he pulled it and he goes, "Hit it." And I went, and he goes, "Slow." And I went, and that was it. And I was like, "Fuck, oh," because it's like it hits you real quick. It's like a concentrated high because it also involves holding your breath and all that. So
you know what that reminds me of? Fucking my ex had a friend that was like a former crackhead, and then she started loving dabs, but he hit it, and he's never smoked crack before, so she was lighting it. Just like...
We talked to TJ, or we were talking on the grease trap we did yesterday about one time me, Scotty, and TJ were sitting over at their house in Ohio, right when I first joined DP, and they had a dab rig. So I'd hit a dab rig before. I had one at home, and TJ had never taken a dab, or he was very new to the whole dabbing thing. He had only dabbed a few times. And so I took this big fat dab. And Scotty took a big fat dab too. And TJ took a big fat dab as well. And we were all sitting there, coughing a little bit and stoned. And then TJ stands up. You know how you've been around him enough. Have you ever seen him do that, like stand up where it's like you think something's wrong, but it's just he stands up super fast. So he did that. And I think that's what did it to him. It was right after he'd taken that dab and coughed a bunch. He stood up hella fast and then just fell over. Just stood up and was like, and crumpled. And we were like, "Whoa." And he was like, "Whoa."
But, like, I'd imagine crackheads probably do an easier time with dabs.
I don't know, dude. Crack, I've never smoked it. I only know one person that has. provably smoked crack that I've talked to about it. And you take little, like, you don't want to take giant fucking hits of crack. Crack is smoked with a stem,
Yeah.
like it's just a glass
Yeah.
pipe that's thick. And it's straight. You don't load it like a bowl. You just put a rock in one end of it and you light it. And you're supposed to take little toots of it like that.
She wasn't tooting.
Yeah, she took a big fat hit of crack.
Oh, she did in the past, and then it became dabs.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Hey, dabs better than crack. She made progress.
Yeah, I had one friend. You'll probably know which friend I'm talking about, who told me one time we were kids, and crack was like an epidemic. And he told me like when he was fucking like 16, he was like, dude, one of these days, I'm gonna smoke crack once. And I remember telling him like, dude, that's what they say though. It's like you got to be careful because you don't only smoke crack once. You smoke it once and then you really like it, and then you say, "Oh, I'll smoke it again," and then you got a habit. He's like, "No, dude, no." He's like, "Listen to me, Paul. Listen to me. I know that." He goes, "I don't care how good it feels. I'm gonna smoke crack once." And I was like, "Dude, whatever. Don't. My advice is don't. But you do what you want to do." Well, years went by. And he would say it every once in a while. Like, not every day, not every month, maybe not even every year, but it would come up. We were 18. Dude, I swear to God, one of these days, I'm going to smoke crack once. I was like, dude, still think it's a bad idea, but whatever, let me know what it's like. I told him that. I was like, honestly, if you're not memeing, which this is a dude that, like, if he was joking, he would have told me. If I would have been like, we didn't use the word memeing, but I would have been like, dude, if you're fucking joshing me right now, just say it. And he'd be like, I'm not going to smoke crack. He was like, no, I'm not dodging you. One of these days, I'm going to smoke crack once. And I was like, all right. Well, dude, I was in my 20s. I think I was like 25. I was married. Or not married. I was engaged. And owned my place and was about to buy a new house and everything. And all of a sudden, my phone rings, and it's a number I don't recognize. And it's this friend. I could tell immediately when I answered the phone. I was like, hello, and he did his thing. He did his little greeting to me. And I was like, fucking, what's up, dude? And he goes, I did it. That's all he said to me. And I was like, I had to stop and think. It's been years since I'd talked to the guy. He went and lived off, he's in a different part of the country. He was in the military and shit. I was like, so I had to stop and think. And he just let me do it, too. He didn't say anything else. I was like, what's up, dude? And he goes, I did it. And I sat there and I was like, and then it came back to me. I was like, you smoked crack? And he was like, yup. And I was like, dude, tell me you only did it once. And he was like, fuck yeah, I only did it once. I told you I was going to smoke crack once. And I was like, well, fucking how was it? And he went, it was fucking amazing. And that was it.
You know what? He was responsible. He waited until he was at a point in his life where he wouldn't have a need for a crack-like booster or whatever.
Right. And he tried it once. Yeah. He stuck to his thing. Here's somebody in the chat saying they've done crack one time, and yes, it's good. I see. I wouldn't know. Wouldn't be able to tell you about it. I will not do it. My experimentation phase when it comes to drugs is long past me. I know the drugs. Here are the 4 drugs that I will do. Okay, well, not counting the legal ones. Okay, so marijuana, psilocybin, and LSD. I think that's it. So maybe there's the 3 drugs. And then possibly ayahuasca in the future, if I can.
I just don't want to puke.
See the puking thing? I don't mind it. Like that. Like if it's euphoric and therapeutic, I'm willing to go to one of these ayahuasca like fucking therapy things and try it one time. And if I like it, I'll go do it once a year or some shit. But I would be willing to try ayahuasca, which is basically like diluted DMT. It's like a low dose DMT trip. Are you paranoid? I'm a naturally paranoid personality. Not a chance. I will try nothing that's physically addictive. I don't blame you, Zonster. I don't know you like well enough in your personal life, but if somebody was like, "Do you think Zonster smokes?" My immediate answer, I wouldn't even have to think about it. I'd be like, "Nope." He doesn't present as the type of dude. Like, see, that's the thing I've always liked about Zonster and why I value our ongoing kind of friendship on this weird YouTube shit. Is because he's a dude that like he went a different path than I went. You know what I mean? I don't know what he might have experimented a little bit here and there in college. Maybe he didn't. But I went down. I was a binge drinker and a kind of a drug experimenter in my teens and 20s. And I really don't think Zonster needed that in his life. I think he really focused himself. You know what I mean? He was one of those people that, like, I know kind of where I want to go. This is all me projecting. I don't really know this about Zonster. But I get the feeling that, like, he knew where he wanted to go in life, and then just he kind of went there, you know? And anything that would have dragged that down or been negative to his health, he cut it out or never did it, you know? And that's pretty smart. And it's cool that I can be friends with a guy that went that totally different route, you know?
I mean, I just done drugs because I wasn't social enough.
I mean, that's for a lot of people too. Yeah. Like a lot of people like would like to experiment with marijuana or something, try it out, or would like to drop acid, or would like to try mushrooms once, but they just are not social enough creatures that they're never in the position. Like for me, it took me a while when I started talking to people on the internet about my drug experiences or whatever. It took me a while to realize that like a lot of my drug like experience relies heavily on my natural kind of like affability towards people. Like because, and I'm not saying that's good, bad, right, or wrong, but it was because I was not like I was a social butterfly. Like I had a bunch of different friends. That's how I knew somebody who knew somebody to get the drug. You know what I mean? And like that's necessary. And I kind of assumed that everybody had that same little network of people. And when people would ask me questions, I'd get annoyed because I'd just be like, dude, why are you asking me? Go ask one of your friends. He probably knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody at least. And then there's your plug. You know, what do you want me to do for you here? But like for me, that was just foregone conclusion. All throughout when I was a kid, it was like I either knew somebody or I knew somebody who knew somebody. You know what I mean? Like that.
Mostly theater kids?
It was everybody.
Oh.
So it's like, well, I had a weird social circle in high school. So you asked a question that's like, so I hung out with two different groups of people in high school. One group of people was people I was friends with since like elementary school. Yeah. And the other group of people was friends that I made in high school, 90% of which were from theater. Yeah. Because that was my big thing, theater and choir and band and shit. So I hung out with a lot of performing arts kids. And then I had this other group of friends, and I hate to put it this way, but they were like kind of social outcast, nerdy type of people. And I was too. I had that in me, obviously. I loved, like, we played video games all the time together. Like, they were my video game friends. So my school friends and shit, like, most of them were not into video games. They would play them sometimes, but they weren't into them like I was with my friends. They would play them and get stoned every once in a while, but it was just like a little side thing. And I had this nerdy group that it was a lifestyle, you know. One of us always had the newest console, or one of us always had this new game, and we'd bring it over and play it together. And there was really no drugs involved in that for a long time. So late in my high school career, I had this epiphany because I was hanging with these people and I was like, dude, my friends would totally get along with these other people I chill with. And it was really the undoing. Not the undoing. That's a joke. That's me jokingly hyperbolizing. It was the de-virginizing of that group. My decision to mix those groups of people had every last one of those nerds become cool.
Yeah. Well,
By the end of you met him out here.
Yeah.
So when he came to visit,
Yeah.
my friend Waylon, I've talked about Waylon here before. Waylon came to visit us. Dude, that guy was the biggest capital D, capital O, capital R, capital K that I ever fucking met in my life in high school. He was tall. He had that going for him, but doughy. And he did this thing with his hair where it's like he would put gel in it, but he would part it. So he would cut his hair like it looked like something from like the 50s.
Yeah.
There was a part and it was very like neatly parted, and he would walk, and he kind of walked like a duck.
Yeah.
He was just gawky.
Yeah.
Not a chick in the fucking world would have looked at him. And by the end of fucking high school, he was my hottest friend.
Yeah.
He was the dude that was pulling all the chicks out of all the friends. He was in the nerd group.
Yeah.
And by the end of high school, he was pulling all the chicks. And I was going like, wow, the fuck did this happen? Because I still looked at him and saw that same doughy, gawky, tall dork. But he stopped doing the fucking thing and got a modern haircut. Went down and bought some Massimo and some skate shorts and some shoes and got a Carmen Gia and a cool car. And all of a sudden, pussy.
No, dude, I lost my best friend at the theater. Once he started doing that, he had a whole group of friends, and I was not invited.
See, I did that for a couple of years in high school, and then I had that idea. I was like, I'm gonna mix this group and see what fucking happens. And what happened was, everybody in that group tried weed.
Yeah.
One of them, dude, there was this one guy. I won't say his name. I'll call him another name. Let's say his name is Fred. Our friend Fred had a horrible stutter. Not his fault. I'm not making fun of him. And he was part of the nerd group. And I think he was really part of the nerd group because of the social stigma around somebody who has because he had a real profound stutter. You could totally understand what he was saying, but he would get hung up. And in order to be his friend and to be cool with him, you had to be willing, and I'm not even going to do an impersonation because I don't want to fuck on him. But it would be like he would get hung up on a certain, you know how a profound stutter is. It's a whole disability. That kid, Fred, or was it Frank or whatever?
He said Fred.
Either one of those works. Frank Fred went to college, tried a little bit of weed, and started to come out of the shell, but still stuttered a lot. Frank Fred went to college, came back a year later, and was a different motherfucking person. A whole ass different person came home from college. He stuttered less. He was a druggie, like not a hard druggie, but he was all about weed now. Had like 8 or 10 little pipes and bongs that he brought home with him to show us off. And I got more high than I'd ever gotten in my life with him because he knew shit about weed that I didn't know. Like he had hash and shit that he brought back. He went to school in the Bay Area. Came back with like pressed hash and shit, and I was smoking like concentrates for the first time in my life, going like, what? He's like, I know. That, so it's just like, it just goes to show you, like, there's a lot of people that think that there's this permanence to your personality, and there really isn't. There really isn't, and some people bloom later than that, but people are always changing. Like, I'm so different now from when I was 19, I can't even quantify the ways, but I'm so similar. There's still that person in me. It's just
you
layers of
said
experience.
that if I'd met you younger in life, I probably wouldn't.
You would have hated me. No, straight out, you wouldn't have probably come near me. Like, if you and I were closer in age and we had met, if you went to high school with me, but everything in your circumstances remain the same.
Yeah.
Your sisters, your stepdad, everything. You would have heard me saying that word. Not like calling people it or like discriminating, but just like rapping it and like using it flippantly and calling my friends it. And you probably would have been like, fuck that fucking racist piece of trash. How I bring that home to my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Why do people diminish accomplishments? That's a complex question, and I know you got a character limit, Brianna, but give me like a longer one, and I'll look out for it. Okay, like explain kind of like what you mean. I was always very social. I could get anything, any substance I wanted in college, but I was more interested in women than substances. Oh my God, I had Zonster all wrong.
Yeah.
I kind of thought of Zonster as like a kind of a, and I'm not trying to shit on you, Zonster, but like a Point Dexter type of character that got like hooked up because he was smart in college and like found another nerdy chick. He's about hounding it though.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to be stoned and miss an opportunity at some play. Zonster, you salty old dog, you. The reveal has happened. Oh my God. Zonster, you bastard. He took the smart route through life.
Yeah.
He pursued the things that really matter and eschewed the things that
Or temporary.
that are either temporary or dog you for the rest of your fucking life. What a fucking pimp. What a player. What a Mac world trotting daddy. That's true too, because Zonster's a world trotter. He's been everywhere. He's been all over the globe. He's sipped many fine wines in many different places. He has eaten of many fine and exotic meals that most men never savor the flavor. 42 fucking countries.
Yeah. So he just.
This is a worldly.
Drugs didn't fit into that equation.
He didn't. Dude, if I did some math in my head and went like, if I could take all the time that I've spent sitting around smoking weed.
Yeah.
And put it towards making enough money to travel, I'd probably be at 42 countries. You know how many countries I'm at? 2.
Not even Canada?
I've never been to Canada.
What?
2 countries. I've been to the United States of America where I was born, and if you even want to count it, I went to Mexico a few times, which is basically like America Light.
Yeah.
It's like America Junior that we're very like we're very stern with them, but it's basically America there.
Yeah. At least in like the touristy places you went.
Exactly. I went to Tijuana in the 80s, back before it became a total cartel town, when it was just a tourist town. And then I took a cruise where I was let off the boat into a very curated area of like Cabo San Lucas that's like nothing but American brands and high-end tequila bars for white tourists. That's my Mexico. So basically I've been to one country. Because I've never been off well, no, that's not true. That is not true. On one of the fucking trips, one of the cruises, I took 2 cruises to what they call the Mexican Riviera. One of them was a honeymoon cruise, and then one of them we saved up money to do. But they were both the same. And on one of those, I can't remember which one, we went to Puerto Vallarta, and we did one of those excursions. I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise, but
Yeah. I've been on a cruise ship, but it was just in port.
Right. So, by the way, cruising is the coolest thing about cruising is at night. If you pay more, which I did, I wouldn't cruise if I couldn't have a little balcony to sit on, because that's the cool thing about cruising. That's it. The rest of it sucks, because it's crowded and there's kids everywhere, and it's.
I'll go check on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, baby. I'm gonna warm my buns real quick. But yeah, no, that was the coolest thing about cruising for me, was sitting on that balcony at night and looking at the moon on the open ocean, and just listening to the waves lap against the boat. Oh, there was one cool moment too that I had on a cruise that I'll share with you guys. It had to do with nature. Because the rest of it, to be honest with you, it's all shit that I could have done on land and probably enjoyed just as much. Like, there's a lot of dining stuff that you do on cruises. So you have the option to go to these like formal dining things at certain times. And if you do, you're served a menu that's pretty good usually if you're on a decent cruise ship. You get some decent food. So I ended up seated. I decided to go with my now ex-wife to one of those. And we ended up seated next to a window looking out on the side of the ship where we could see the ship sidelong, you know, going across the water. And we were right next to that window. And it was really pretty. It was cool. We ate a meal. I don't remember the meal, so the meal was not that memorable. Whatever it was all right. But as we were sitting there, it was like the sun was still up. So it was like midday, like 5 or 6 p.m. As we were sitting there, I looked out the window and I was like, what the fuck is that bird? And she looked out the window and she was like, I don't know. And then the bird went underwater, and then all of a sudden there were 2 of them. And I was like, what is that? Is that an insect? And she was like, it looks like a dragonfly. I was like, I know. I had never in my life seen a flying fish in the wild. I'd seen them in like documentary footage all slowed down and shit, but I'd never seen one in the wild. And as we sat there and watched, that 2 became 5, that 5 became 10. It just grew exponentially. And all of a sudden there was this entire school of flying fish keeping pace with the boat. It was the most amazing thing. They would come up out of the water and fly. And then as soon as they were about to hit the water, their fins that they used to glide would just like, and they'd turn into a fish and just, and there was this whole school of them just like with the boat. And we sat there for hours as the sun went down until we couldn't see them anymore, because there were just hundreds and hundreds of them. And it was like, wow, that was worth the ticket for me. But you're not guaranteed to see something like that on a cruise, you know what I mean? The other most memorable thing about all the the 2 cruises that I did was sitting on my balcony at night and watching the moon on the water and seeing that moon reflection create like a highway of light leading directly to the moon that goes to infinity. That's an amazing thing. If you've never experienced the open, calm ocean at night on a really clear moonlit night with a full moon, it is one of the most amazing experience. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. That's the best way that I can explain it. It's like a highway of light. It's like a road that's made of light that leads directly to infinity, all the way to the horizon, and then all the way, it's like it's right to the moon. So those are the most memorable experiences I have from the cruises that I took. Has nothing to do with the fucking food or the entertainment or the bullshit or the excursions or anywhere in the Mexican Riviera that we went. But to bring it back, the reason I was telling you about this is we stopped in Puerto Vallarta and we did one of those excursion things. And the excursion was to visit a few wineries that were inland. And so we got on a bus filled with tourists, and I actually went inland and saw some like actual rural Mexico, went to some actual functioning Mexican wineries that were really cool, drank some Mexican wine, got drunk with some Mexican people, and was bussed back to the boat drunk off my fucking ass. And I got back on the boat and had a good time with that. So that was pretty cool. So the one time I had a good time in Mexico, a really genuinely memorably good time that I couldn't have probably in the United States and have it feel the same way, was when I took a chance on taking an excursion deeper into Mexico, into the non-touristy part. Going on a cruise low-key sucks. Do something else with your money. I mean, here's the thing. It does suck, but I probably never in my life would have seen that school of flying fish if I had never taken a cruise. And I maybe never in my life would have been in the position to be on a boat in the open ocean and watch a full moon make that highway of light on the calm seas. Like, there are so many things that have to fall into place for you to get to see that. Like, the seas have to be calm enough so that the moonlight isn't broken up and there's not a lot of chatter to it. And the moon has to be full. And the sky has to be clear. You know what I mean? And like, and you have to be on a boat in the open ocean. Like, these are all things that your average person doesn't do all that often. So it's like, because I took the cruise, I had those 2 experiences. So it was worth it for me for those 2 things. But there's no guarantee you're going to see flying fish on your cruise, or get seated next to the window that has the flying fish when you're, because that's when it happened. We were at some meal and we got seated next to a window that's out the side of the boat, and we saw a whole school of flying fish. Have you ever seen a flying fish? They look like it's the most. It was really like one of those nature moments, like the hummingbird visiting us that one time, or the bee getting clipped. You know what I mean? It was really elemental for me because I didn't know what they were at first, and then I realized those are flying. I'd seen them in documentaries, but I saw them flying. Their wings look like dragonfly. Their fins look like dragonfly wings. So beautiful. I might never have seen that in the wild. You know what I mean?
Do you have any fisherman fans? Do you go on a fishing boat?
I've been on fishing boats before.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go on a couple of deep sea cruises, and I like deep sea fishing excursions, where a chartered boat takes a group of tourists out. They provide the big stiff rods that you need to deep sea fish and all the tackle and bait, and you just kind of get to do your fishing on the boat and keep what you catch, and you pay a fee. I did a couple of those. One of them I did with my stepdad, and he gets seasick. He was trying to bond with me, and I was a teenager. And he was like, I really want to bond with the kid and do something with him. And so he decided, hey, I'll take him deep sea fishing, which was right up my alley. I love the ocean. So I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I'll go. And we went, and he'd never been deep sea fishing before. He chartered this boat, got us on a tourist charter that had 15, 20 other tourists on it, big boat. And they went way out. And before they even got to the spot for us to fish, my stepdad was sicker than shit. He was literally laying in the cabin with a puke bucket, and that's all he did. He got so seasick, but I fished all fucking day and had a blast. I caught a bunch of crazy shit. They use squid as bait, so I caught a lot of sea bass. One dude pulled up, not an angler fish, but something like that. Some big toothy deep sea fucking thing. He let his line way the fuck down and baited it with a squid and pulled up some weird looking, I can't remember what it was, some flatfish. Real weird deep sea stuff gets pulled up. It's kind of sad to do it for sport because those fish die. If you pull something from a certain depth up with a fishing line, it gets the bends or whatever. It depressurizes or repressurizes too fast and it dies. Or some animals that live down there that get dragged up are just not built to live in our, barometric pressure or whatever it is. They're built to live under the crushing pressure of the ocean, and you bring them up and it kills them. So that's kind of sad about it now that I think about it. But as far as an experience, it was cool. I like to be, I really, to me, the fish were secondary. I really just like being on that boat. I like being out in that open ocean with that cold sea air hitting me in the face.
Do you think they do those right now or no?
No, probably not right now, unfortunately. It's probably like COVID disaster. Maybe they'll let you charter a boat if you've got like a negative test and you do a smaller boat and it's just you and somebody else. But as far as because it's cheaper to do it on a bigger boat with a group of people. And it was, there was no problems with that. I had my own little spot on the boat that I could fish off of, and it was no big deal. But yeah, I would imagine you can probably charter a private boat now for me and you, and we could go deep sea fishing. But a smaller boat means more movement. So this was a bigger boat, and just the rocking of it is what made...
Well, I've done ferries a shit ton of times.
Ferries are different. The deep sea is different. There's a roll, and it's constant. And you get these, at first when you get on it, you notice it, but I get sea legs real quick, and it's like you compensate to that, and so it doesn't bother you. It just becomes part of but if you get motion sick at all, there's a chance you will. You don't know until you've been out on that big open ocean for about an hour with the roll, the national, and maybe even in a little chop, because sometimes it gets choppy. You know what I mean? So you get that up down, and you get that left right, you get the circle. Some people can't handle it. You know what I mean? And you don't know until you've done it. Like a cruise ship is so big, you don't get it at all. It's like a floating city.
With my luck, you'd end up chartering something like that, and that would be the day.
Oh, yeah, Aunt Flo. Aunt Flo would be like, hello, honey. I'm here to go on the boat with you and make you miserable. How far out? I don't know. They probably trawled like 3 or 4 miles offshore there in San Fran. It took about, I don't know, they said it was about 2 hours out at whatever their full clip was. So yeah, it was probably 3 or 4 miles offshore, probably a little farther. I couldn't even see land anymore. We got out to the point where we were fishing, and it was literally like beautiful sky blue day. And I went all the way around the boat and was just like, okay, well, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Some years ago, having little or no money in my purse and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought I would sail out a little and see the watery part of the world. No, I mean, I would never say I sailed about, because like I said, I got to go on a couple of chartered deep sea fishing trips. I lived on a boat that was moored in a harbor for a couple of weeks when I was a kid and loved every second of it. Rode a lot of jet skis and sporting boats when I was a kid because that was very common in the area that I grew up. The area I grew up has a lot of lakes, thus, a lot of fishing boats, a lot of sporting boats, a lot of jet skis that you can rent, a lot of this, a lot of that. So I rode a lot of that, love that. Anything in the water, I pretty much love. And I've never gotten motion sick in my life. I don't get car sick. I don't get seasick. So I've got good sea legs. I think part of that is honestly genetic. I think there's certain, groups of people that probably,
Like your inner ear or whatever.
it's like an inner ear adaptation that, whatever makes you fucking have a better balance when you're exposed to those types of conditions compared to somebody else. And so it really is, you don't know till you know. Some people can't even handle it. Like for some people, it's a psychological thing that turns into a sickness. And for some people, it's just a sickness. It's like some people can't handle it. They can't handle that nothing stops moving and it starts to freak them out and makes them feel disoriented and they get kind of vertigo-ish. And that leads to illness. And some people's stomachs just can't handle it. It's just the constant And sometimes it'll go different ways because you'll hit waves that are, moving from different angles. The boat will have to turn a little bit and take a wave to the side, and so now the boat rocks a little bit this way, and you've got to compensate with your weight to keep yourself upright. And this is basically like what you guys see me doing here. This type of movement is basically like the muscles that I'm engaging here are sea legs. Like you have to get used to balancing your equilibrium as it moves on a boat very smoothly, keeping your knees engaged, keeping your leg muscles engaged, and keeping your core muscles engaged to keep your spine upright so that you let the boat move underneath you while you remain relatively stable. And I think that people that get seasick or don't have sea legs, they do this, where their head is bobbling around with them, which if you do this type of shit long enough, you know what I mean? You have to be able to like very smoothly engage your thigh muscles and your knees and your back and your core to keep your head upright. So that as you're doing this, you can look around, you can move around, you know what I mean? It's hard to simulate it, but you get my drift. And it becomes, at a certain point, you're not even thinking about doing it. It's like, that's sea legs. Like when you first get on a boat, if you haven't been on one for a while, you're like, oh, okay, all right. And after about, 15, 20 minutes on the boat moves, but you don't, right? Or to the best of your ability. It's just a walking in a different way. It engages your muscles in a different way so that you're like compensating as you move across the boat for that sway. And after about an hour, you don't even notice it. It's not even there. And after a day or two, it's definitely not there. You gotta have the moves like Jagger. Yeah, I guess so, huh? Guys, wait here. I gotta pee. That coffee has finally caught up with me. I'll be right back. Go inside. You sitting on your carpets. You acting like you cold. So come on. Let's go. I'll let you in this way. should have grabbed that. Let me get it now. Lesson learned. Okay, let's get this shit set up somewhat. Okay. Bum, bum. Bum, bum. Kinda excited to get my new phone, honestly. Whoa, upside down, Paul. All right. Bing. Okay. Now I don't have to worry about the battery. Thanks for your patience, everybody who waited around. And anybody who left is a piece of shit. Happy Festivus, Paul. Have some cash. Thank you. A Festivus for the rest of us. A lot of it is being able to shift weight around to different parts of your feet without thinking about it. Yeah, very true. I've danced with dolphins on a cruise once. They sprayed me with water because I'm trash at dancing. Good. You deserved it. Boo. If you got whack style, man, them dolphins are not going to put up with it. They're not going to put up with your shit. They'll tell you straight out. A dolphin doesn't fuck around. They don't pull punches. Excuse me. I think this needs another log. Maybe two. And I think if the log that I choose is sufficiently large, then it will handle the issue at hand. Oh, man, it's cold. I have the length. Yes, yes. Do I have the girth? Yes. Yes. Is this the way I have to hold it? Okay. Have you seen Korean K-pop? I've seen K-pop stuff. The dancing women. Yeah, where they're like... You know, they get all kind of like hip-hop-ish. A lot of hand movements. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I got the K-pop moves, dude. I'm ready to be a K-pop superstar, dude. K-pop is ADHD if it was a music genre. I don't know about that. Mukbang performed by dancing Korean woman would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know how they would do it, but if they could figure that out, I'd give it a watch. I'd try it out. I'm not saying I would spend a whole lot of time watching it, but I would try it. Okay, buns warmed. Let's take care of this hand. Cold hand. Gotta put those gloves back on, I think. But first, God damn it. First, I'm gonna take you guys over here and I'm gonna pack a corn cob pipe. There, stay. With some tobacco, try and get that lit. And enjoy that as I sit out here. front of my fire. Beautiful. Beautiful. Grab that tool there. Ooh. Oh my. What have I done? Have I done anything? No, I think I'm fine. Okay. We're fine. What have I done? Has something happened? Oh, shit. All right. Well, that was interesting. Okay. I hate how YouTube doesn't let you change the orientation of your device midstream. Like, I should be able to turn it to portrait mode when I want to and not have it on portrait mode. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I should definitely damn well be able to flip it and have YouTube compensate for that. Man, these lighters out here in the cold. I gotta start having a lighter I keep in my pocket, because when this butane gets cold, it doesn't hardly want to throw a flame off. Doop, 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 doop. There we go. Now we're ready to... Maybe you need a match. They were invented after the cigarette lighter, you know? Oh, yeah, the match. My matches that I have out here got damp. They're fine. They'll be fine when they dry out, but like I bought a whole box of matches, but it got real humid and boggy, and they got damp. Now they suck. So I'm using a lighter. Problem? Yeah, butane at low temps, right. They lose pressure. Exactly. See? Yellow, what, my teeth? Yeah. Like a life of smoking, drinking coffee and stuff. I don't really care. I don't have this, like, need to present the brightest smile ever. I don't give a shit. What was horrible, Liam? Colgate, yeah. What do you want me to do? I brush my teeth. They're just yellow. I spent my whole life smoking, drinking coffee. Like, what do you think's going to happen? I just realized I can actually brush my teeth again now because I'm not vegan. What? Yeah, I'm with you, Chels. I really don't fucking like when somebody's teeth are just insanely fucking robotically white, you know what I mean? Like, mine are a little yellow. Maybe I could whiten mine. I don't know. You know, if Amelia ever complains to me that my teeth are too yellow, I guess I'll do something, but I mean, I brush my teeth and shit, so they're just stained, yo. Like, what are you gonna do? I can't go back and unsmoke all the smokes, and I can't go back and undrink all the coffee. So what do you want me to do? Overproduced teeth shines brighter than the sun. Huh? He? Who? Like Boogie's chiclets. I'm not gonna shit on Boogie. He had a fucked up grill. His teeth were really messed up, and he got new teeth. And I'm not gonna sit and be one of the endless people that call Boogie's chiclets out any more than I have. I've already said what I had to say about Boogie's chiclets, and that's it. You know what I mean? See you, Phoebe. Have a good day. Stay warm. Just looked at some nasty mouths from Chiswick, UK, folks, and Paul's doesn't look as bad. See? I've got on one of my front teeth, I've got what's called a calcification mark. I can show it to you guys. Watch. I don't know if you can see it. You can't really see it. It's like a white earth spot on my tooth. See it there? You know what that's from? Braces. I got that because I had braces. Isn't that wonderful? It's Chiswick. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you guys dropped the W's out of things. Like why? Why would you spell something Chiswick and then call it Chiswick? Just name it Chiswick. Fucking Brits. My dentist whitened my teeth when I got braces off to get rid of those spots. Yeah, teeth whitening wasn't really, I'm not saying it didn't exist when I was a kid, but I don't think it was widely done. And it might have been a more destructive kind of thing to do, too. Modern teeth whitening, I think, is a little less invasive. So, yeah, that makes sense. But when I was a kid, when I got them off and stuff, like, I didn't know anybody that had that big old pearly white weird smile you see people get when they go overboard with it. Chelsea's teeth have always looked nice. Chelsea's always had a nice smile. Somehow she's like been a pothead her whole life, but she managed to miss and she drinks coffee. I know she does, but she managed to miss the yellowing. She's got a good, natural looking smile. It's a good like midway. Mine are a little yellow. There's nothing I can do about that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I can't go unsmoke the cigarettes. I guess I could go get them whitened, but I don't give a shit. Each of my brother-in-law's teeth has a calcification mark from never brushing his teeth with braces. He has a polka dot mouth. Yeah, maybe I didn't brush enough when I had braces. I haven't used chemical whiteners since I got my braces off. I do use charcoal stuff. Yeah, I've never tried the charcoal stuff. Maybe I'll give it a shot. See what it do. You can get a charcoal toothpaste. Neat. Charcoal whitening works, but be careful if you have sensitive teeth. Can damage enamel. Oh. Oh, fuck. Last time I was on acid, I was pissed at how white your teeth were. You wanted to yeller them up. Yeah. If I look at myself when I'm acid, I try not to let myself slip into that self-critique space, because if I do, it's just bad. So I avoid the mirror most time on acid. But I did have one of my most profound experiences while looking into a mirror on acid. Did you hear about TikTok who use filters or filers to file down their teeth? What? Filers? You as a Christmas Santa win. I've been a Christmas Santa before. I probably can't do it now. You like seeing your face melt into different characters on acid? Yeah, well, that's what happened to me. I think I told that story back in the day on DP, like right when it happened. It was at you guys' old Ohio house, and me and TJ dropped 2 tabs apiece. I think Ben was there too. We were frying balls. And I went into your bathroom to take a shit. That little closet bathroom thing, because I had the acid shits. And I was peeking. And the way that bathroom was, you sat on it and you had to look at yourself in the mirror while you were shitting. It was the weirdest designed bathroom ever. And I looked into my own eyes as I was pooping, and I saw myself as I was, and then I saw myself turned into this, like, resplendent, like, king. Like, I aged, but I aged really gracefully. Like, I aged into this, like, philosopher king looking guy with a crown on his head and a long mane of white hair and a long, beard. And, like, I looked like, not like angry, but just like resigned, like I had this, and I wasn't making these faces, or at least I don't think I was. I was just looking at myself in the mirror. And at the time, I didn't even have long hair. At the time, I had like really short cropped hair. So I saw myself with this long mane and this long white mane and this long white beard and a crown around my head. And I was sitting on a throne, and I was just very regal and very composed, and I looked like I'd lived a very well-considered life. And then that person that was sitting there became me again slowly. And I was sitting there taking a shit again, and I was like, whoa. And then I looked again at myself. I did it again. I stared into my own eyes, and this time I saw this old, withered, crusty, stringy, old, just like a man that just looked like he just walked a billion miles of hard road and never found the end of it. And he looked bitter too, kind of like Theoden, but while Wormtongue had him, you know what I mean? Just like crusty and just like, bleh. And he wasn't a king. This one wasn't a king. This one was like just alone and forgotten, and you could tell neglected not only himself, but everyone else neglected him too. And he was just like, ugh. And I sat and I stared at that person, and I was like, and then eventually they were me again. And then my shit was over, and I was like, holy fuck. That experience for me was so crazy profound, because it was almost like I was being shown 2 different possibilities, you know what I mean? Not necessarily I don't think I'm ever going to be the king of anything. But I was being shown like 2 different paths that I could take from that point. You know, and I don't know exactly what the path to each one of those is, but man, I tell you what, from that day forward, I've been trying to walk the path that leads to the wise king. And not the path that leads to the old man filled with regret. The king of your own life. Yes, that is how I've taken it. Now, I don't know if that was the message or even if there was any really message at all other than my brain was working through some psychological thing through a psychedelic episode. I will tell you this, though. That is what I've tried to watch. That is what I've taken it. To be the king of my own life. To be a person that walks my own path. To not let my life be dictated to me ever again. To live where I want to live and to live how I want to live and to look how I want to look and to be how I want to be and to do in my business what I think is best for my business with my partners and to not take input from anybody else unless I ask it. I'm the king of my own life. I keep my own fucking counsel and I keep my circle small. And I've lived like that ever since that experience. I shit you not. My whole fucking thought process on life changed after that day. Because I got to tell you guys, man, I don't want to be that old, used up, withered, forgotten, jaded, angry, bitter old thing that I saw in the fucking mirror that day. I'll tell you that fucking much. I may never look exactly like that wise old king that I turned into because it was still me. It was my eyes. It was the strangest thing. Acid is the strangest thing. But I'm telling you guys, man, it changed my life that day. I walked, like my life diverged from, you know, one way of being and started moving in a different path that's led me to where I am now and will lead me to where I am next year and the year after that. It's like a path of my life. But yeah, definitely like wouldn't have happened without acid either. It was like a realization. It was like a revelation in my mind. I puzzled over it and I puzzled over it and I puzzled over it and I still do because I can remember it as clear as day. It's one of the more profound things that's happened to me in my life. One of the more meaningful and profound things that I ever experienced in my entire life. And it definitely changed me for good and forever. Not like in major ways, but in subtle, slow, but sure ways. Where as I thought about that and chewed it over in my head and thought about the lesson of it and thought about those two possibilities, I began making decisions that I think, at least to the best of my ability, lead to that other path. Because I don't want to be that thing. I don't want to be that other thing. I don't want to be that burdensome, forgotten, tiresome old man that hates everybody and everything. Doesn't see joy in life. Never had the balls to do anything. Never had the balls to have an experience. Never had the balls to take a risk. And as a result, never lived a life and is just withered and old and bitter about it. That's how I saw that person. I didn't see malice in that withered old second person that I saw in myself. It wasn't like I saw pain. I saw the pain of a wasted life is what I saw. That's really what I saw. And the anger that must come with that. Looking back at all the opportunities that you missed. Looking back at all the times you said, well, I could do this, but it would cost me this stability. It would cost me this job. It would cost me this opportunity. It would cost me this relationship. It would cost me this or that or this or that or that, whatever it is that keeps you in place. And I saw that in that old man. I saw a bitterness in him that had produced a pain that had driven everybody out of his life, and nobody cared about him and nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted him around because he was just burdensome to be around. And quite frankly, he didn't want to be around anyone anyway. He wanted to be alone, but at the core of it was his life had been wasted. He had spent his entire life in the pursuit of pleasing others and doing nothing but pleasing others. And he had never taken any ownership of his own fucking existence. He had never taken any selfish leaps. He had never made a hard decision and stuck to it. He had never fucking pushed himself. He had never lived, never moved. So, I don't know what you guys have been yammering about while I talk about this. Have you ever looked into the rabbit hole of John M. Allegro? He found evidence that ancient Christianity was based around psychedelic experiences from plants that contained DMT and psilocybin. I have not. Crickly crackly. Oh, yeah. I think I need to pull my chair now. Down here. I said, I think I need to be closer to this here fire. So I'm going to do that. Now that's cozy. Was I a good boy this year? Yeah, I was, dude. I really was. I was not a bad boy, I'll tell you that much. Really cool traveling art show train going by. See if I can show it to you guys. Fuck it. You guys won't be able to see it probably. Oh, how sad is that? How sad is that? Right as the train ends, I decide, fuck it, I'll just share it with you guys, and the last car goes by. I know. Just caught the last of it, yeah. A little teaser. Well, next time one of those comes by, I guess I'll just show it to you guys. My first heavy trip, I looked into a mirror and saw myself turn into this deer thing and subconsciously realized it was the center of me, and it told me to come out as trans or die unhappy crazy. Hey, maybe you had maybe that's a similar experience to what I had, you know? Who knows? Don't. The train car number will give away your spot. I've reached a point now where I really don't care. Like, it's a fun meme having people guess where I am, and I'm sure the vast majority of you don't really care where I am. Some of you probably know generally at least the state that I'm in. And I really don't care beyond that, to be honest with you. If I show you guys something that gives away my state, you know, that lets you know that I'm in Hotlanta with Marshall cooking up beats in the lab or whatever, then so be it. You guys will know I'm in Hotlanta, you know? Atlanta, where the poor come to get rich at. LA, where the rich come to stay rich at. New York, where the rich make more people rich at. South Detroit, where ain't nobody rich at. Are you feeling Christmassy this year? Not really. I think I will. I was talking about it to TJ last night. He was saying like, I'm just kind of humbug this year, or whatever. I'm not really feeling the Christmas thing, and I'm just not going to really participate and the blah blah blah. I'll be honest with you, Chelsea. I haven't put up really any kind of Christmas decorations in my house, other than maybe a little tree in a couple years anyway. So what I'm planning on doing is getting some eggnog. Both the unalcoholic and alcoholic variety of eggnog. I'm planning on watching A Christmas Story, and I'm planning on watching White Christmas with Amelia, and hopefully doing so in a cozy way where we're all kind of like snuggled up on the couch with the boys, and that's going to be my Christmassy thing this year. I got presents and mailed presents to my family. And I'm going to I've snagged a couple of things for you guys, but it's going to come after Christmas and shit because, well, Scotty's traveling and shit. I don't want packages coming when people are going to be traveling. But I'm not a big fucking gift giver guy. I do it because I know that it's meaningful to other people. But if I had my way, people would just text me or call me on Christmas and be like, hey dude, I love you, happy Christmas or whatever, and that would be my Christmas present from people. Like I would much prefer that to the current, like I have to find a thing. I understand that it's like an expression of friendship and love and familyness and all that to get people things, and so I try to participate to the best I can, but I'm really bad at it because I don't show my love that way. I don't express my love to people through like giving them stuff. I like, if I like a person or I care for a person or I love a person or a person is my friend, then I try and show that by being a friend to them when they need me and making them laugh and being near them when I can and keeping them in my thoughts and all that stuff. Like that's what I consider to be a friend, or a family member or whatever. But everybody is wrapped up in the kind of gift-giving culture of Christmas. And, like I said, it would be more meaningful to me. Like for kids, like I got a lot of kids in my family, so I got each one of them something, which was, a nightmare because there's more every year. For the kids, I understand Christmas. But as an adult, I would just rather me and my friends go like, hey, dude, I love you, happy Christmas. Me and my family say, hey, I love you, happy Christmas. If we can get together, great. If we can't, I love you over the phone or whatever. And that to me is like way more meaningful than, somebody spending a bunch of money on me and me spending a bunch of money on them. It's a way of saying, hey, we all lived another year. That's the way I look at Christmas. It's like, and I don't reach out to tons and tons of people, but the people that are close to me, I always tell them Merry Christmas, you know what I mean? Because it's for me, like Christmas and New Year is about living another year. You went around the sun one more time, you know what I mean? Hallelujah. We made it. Looks like we made it, because there's some people that didn't, There's people that are way older than us, people that are way younger than us that are never going to see the dawn of 2021. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey, you get to be one of the lucky few that gets to see what happens in season 2 of the apocalypse. I always appreciate a gift too. I'm never like, eh. You know what I mean? Money for tattoos, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's just something that people can't give me. Like, I have an artist picked out. He hangs out in here, Zach Zanone. He's on Instagram. I think it's at Zach Zanone. And yeah, dude, he's my boy. He wants to tap me up. And I've seen his work, but it's just like I gotta wait till it's fucking safe to travel. So, you know.
The thing's almost done processing.
Huh?
The thing's almost done processing.
Oh, okay, good.
And it's almost time too, so.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Guess I gotta wrap this up soon. Oh, I got work stuff to do today. What a to-do to die today at a minute or two to two. A thing distinctly hard to stay. Oops, see, I fucked it up. I gotta start it over. This is a tongue twister that I used to do. What a to-do to die today at a minute or two to two. A thing distinctly hard to say, but harder still to do. I had a bunch. The hardest one, the one that I've never met anybody that can do on their first try. And let's see if I can get it on my, well, it's not my first try. I learned it a long time ago. One black bug bled blue black blood while the other black blood, fuck, I fucked it. One black bug bled blue black blood while the other black bug bled blue. One black bug bled blue black blood while the other black blug, see, that's the hard part. One black bug bled blue black blood while the other black bug bled blue. That is a tongue twister and a half right there. One of the hardest ones I know. And a really good one to do to warm up your voice if you're doing a speaking thing. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Good blood, bad blood. Good blood, bad blood. Many married, mumbling, moaning men making much money in the month of May. One black bug bled blue black blood while the other black bug bled blue. All right. Well, have a good one, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.